Welcome to O-Talkin' with Dave. Put your hands together for the pastor of positivity whose glass is always at least half full. Here's Dave.
Hey, how we doing out there? I hope you're great. I am top shelf myself. And I've got good news today. I try to share a lot of good news. Sometimes I feel like I go to the, what we need to work on. Sorry about that. Not sorry, though, because I think it's important. But today, I want to talk about some hot buttons. I want to talk about when woke got canceled. I don't cancel culture, but I love it when the woke movement gets canceled. Now, it's still in process. However, I see trends. We're going to talk about that today. And we're going to say this is nothing new. If you think I'm being political, I think what you want. I'm just reporting what I have seen. I've done some research. This is nothing new. I'll go back to the 50s and talk about different things. But it's about people looking for control. And so let's just jump into it. Virtue signaling, cancel culture. These are new words. It's a bunch of hypocritical, holier than thou people who want to make rules to control other people. And then they don't want to live by them. I don't like that. Do you like that? I don't think you like that. So really, the whole thing behind, and you can substitute any movement you want. But right now I'm talking about the woke movement and cancel culture. Blech. Don't like it. Who do you think you are? You can't cancel me. Anyway, hysteria, and that's what this is. It's got a shelf life. It doesn't last for long. If you think about it, when you're in the middle of it, it seems all-consuming. But it's got a shelf life. It's not going to last. Loud doesn't mean lasting. Emotion is not evidence. That's key to remember. And when ideas are built to create applause, not reality, then they collapse too. Because applause is fleeting. So culture insanity may be a trend, but truth is what matters. Truth pays the rent. Truth is what lasts. You can have your own version of the truth. That don't make it the truth. You can have your opinions, but you can't have your own facts. So that's what we're going to talk about. And history reminds us of this. I look back, and this is before my time, but in the 50s, they called it the Red Scare. McCarthyism. In the 50s, it's after one of the big world wars, and oh my goodness, communism is coming. Communism is going to take over. Everybody was hyper resistant to communism, which I think is a good thing. However, communism's not going to take over. There are those who sided with the communist side of things, and you're seeing a little bit of that come back up now. It was the Red Scare. It was over. No big deal. I remember in the 70s and 80s, it hit me more in the 80s, but I remember in the 70s where they talked about, I think they called it the satanic panic. Yeah, and that started with the rock music. Oh my goodness. Even the Beatles. I can't think of a less satanic group. Look at them, the guys in their mop tops. But that's when you had the heavy movement, not the crazy stuff you see now, which I love, by the way. But that's Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and all of this stuff. Oh, it's taking over. It's going to be the end of us. Oh, Satan is coming over in this music, and it's making kids do crazy things. Even back then, Reefer Madness and all that stuff, which was all propaganda, by the way. It was. None of that was based in fact. Not at all. Not at all. In 2025, they're still performing. So I don't think Satan is a cultural thing. It's an individual thing. And then in the 90s, that's when I first heard something being politically correct. PC, politically correct. That's back when yuppies was a word. The yuppie movement, young urban professionals. Yeah, that was the first version of political correctness. We had awkward conversations. It's what you could say. That's not politically correct. That might have been some of the seeds for woke and cancel culture. However, it didn't last. Those things didn't last in that form. You remember the turn of the century? Y2K? Remember what they said? And it was all for profit. And a lot of these things are for profit. It's attention. It's power. It's profit. But the Y2K movement, how much money was spent to prepare for the end of time? Billions and billions. Here comes the apocalypse. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Planes are going to fall out of the sky. I remember the countdown. Some people were scared to death. They were in a bunker. Except for Times Square, it was still packed. But it's just panic. And it's created. It's created. It's not real. And then, I don't know, around the 2010s, the victim movement, which created more division than unity. If everybody can be a victim, then anybody can be a perpetrator. And all of that. So this is nothing new. Nothing new. And the thing is, what bothers me about it most, I believe, is it is manufactured. The woke and cancel culture, it's manufactured as a weapon, and honestly, political weapons. It's not based on principle. It's based on everything from manipulation to coercion, behavior control, so that they can have power. And who are the judges? So we're going to talk through this. This is good news. I got good news on all of this. But the thing is, woke is not about justice or taking care of any particular group, benefiting someone. It is not conciliatory. It's about control. Outrage, that's currency you can spend. And the goal is not benevolence, it's compliance. That's what they want. Compliance to something that would benefit them and whoever they are. It can be both sides. It can be an individual. It could be someone in your local town that's using this for their good, but it's not based on principle. It's based on control. Dissent is not allowed. No. Even from those who may agree on 90% of anything, any dissent on that 10%, not allowed. No, it's about power, not principle. That's what drives everything. The power, the influence, the control. You know the one, and I'm going to hit it. I'm going to have a little sip of Diet Mountain Dew. They're not a sponsor, but they could be. Before I get into this, because it wrecked a big portion of my life. There are good things, but I'm going to talk about COVID. Get ready. COVID. That was the biggest power play, I think, in my lifetime. I'm 60. But it was disguised as something else, as public safety. Trust the science. Yeah, trust their science. Don't doubt the science. Doubting science is what science, it's how science got here. I don't know about that. Let me test that. No, that was not allowed. That was not allowed. And let's do a little trip down memory lane. Masks are required. They're required for toddlers and us, but not governors, obviously. Masks work. Masks don't work. Now we're finding out, no, masks did nothing. Even the people who declared we had to wear masks, and I know that wasn't a big deal. 6 feet, they made that up. 6 feet distance, 6 feet. And think about how that wrecked so many things. Oh, now there were good things. Traffic was wonderful. It was great. I lived in Southern California. Traffic was a breeze during COVID. A lot of people got to work from home that would not have otherwise. Oh, and that's going to continue to happen. The thing is, we found out you can be a lot more efficient as a company. You got too many people. Why do you need all these buildings? I know people that they closed 80 to 100 buildings because now we're working from home. We don't need real estate, which wrecked one market but helped another, made people more profitable. That was not the intent. Yeah. Churches were locked down. You can't meet. Strip clubs were still open. Liquor stores and strip clubs, they didn't close. What? Are you kidding? I remember they were banning outdoor church services, but allowing outdoor peaceful protests where they were in proximity, not wearing masks. That was okay. That was sanctioned. So it doesn't make sense, does it? Essential, remember that word essential? Essential businesses, essential activities. Who decided that? It was decided based on political convenience. And the reason we know this now is because we can go back and look at it. This hysteria. I lived in California at the time. That was the most hysterical. I remember my son and I flew to Tampa, Florida to see a show because Florida was open. We got there, it was like we were in another country. California was the worst. I don't know if you were out here. I say West Coast. It was the worst. It was crazy. It was over the top. The people they put, the businesses they put out of business is unbelievable. And see, now that we see, if it was necessary for public safety, we get it. It wasn't. It was a power play. And we'll talk about karma. Karma is not political. Karma is not religious. Karma, you know what she is. And, she always comes to visit. But just going back, now 60% of Americans now say public health was politicized during COVID. 60% are saying that. But when you go deeper into the conversation, over 80% really believe it because they answer questions a little differently. When they ask, did this affect you in this way? Or do you have a different view now versus then? If you had to do it over again, do you think these were necessary? They dig in, and over 80% say that the restrictions were not necessary. They overplayed their hand. That's 80%. So you look at things, just the whole political side, it's hard to look at woke and cancel culture without dipping into politics. So let's just jump in. I don't often do this, but now that we have the facts, we can talk about woke and cancel culture because a lot of this has played out, much like all of the things I said earlier. Starting in the 50s, they've played themselves out. I guarantee you we could go back to the 1800s, or we could go back in time in different parts of the world, and there are seasons of hysteria like woke and cancel culture. Let's just jump right into men and women's sports. Yeah. What happened? Well, common sense tells us men have a biological edge when it comes to power and certain biology of how we're structured, muscle density, all that stuff. The argument. It's not even an argument. However, what was said was it's inclusive. It's inclusive. Yeah. The crazy thing is not one feminist was against it, but yet it's against women. And so this pits them against each other. And I've always said the most radical side of any movement, even a good movement, will cannibalize the rest of the movement. That's why rabid feminists don't exist anymore, because they contradict each other too much. Yeah. I don't think I'm hurting anybody's feelings because rabid feminists don't listen to this. Also, the riots in 2020. Remember that? Remember Minnesota? Burned the place down. Billions and billions of dollars in damage. They called them mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful, except for that. In Baltimore, the mayor said we have to give them room to protest. I agree. Protest, not riot. But she said we have to give them room to destroy. Hello. No. Mostly peaceful. The defund the police blows me away. We were going to go to a festival up in Seattle. I think it's Capitol Hill is the area. That's the area where they went crazy and shut down a police precinct and marked off an area there. and they ruled it themselves. This is our place now. It wasn't very long until they were begging outside police to come in and help them, because once you get rid of the police, there is no order. There is no law for anyone. But they were saying it's because we need alternatives. What we got was skyrocketing crime. Yeah, we need education. We need training. We need all sorts of things for the police. But we need order for those who don't follow laws. There has to be consequences. I'm going to just, immigration, chaos at the border. That's what we had. And it was under the guise of compassion. These people want to come here for a better way. Yeah, okay. It's almost like defund the police, though. What people? What are their intent? What is all of that? And I'm not going to talk about Hunter's laptop, Russian disinformation. We've heard that, and that's more's coming out on that. But it was a bit of a scandal. But the vaccines, remember the vaccines? Oh, yeah. You got to get it or else you're fired. They kicked thousands of people out of the armed forces because they didn't take the vaccine. Then, now we know it didn't stop the transmission. You still got it. It's a bad cold. The people that died, and I didn't pull the specs because I don't want to make this a vaccine podcast. Most people died with it, not of it. They had other things that caused it. So, see, all of that was misinformation, but they used that hysteria to stir you up. I've got a podcast coming on news, how you can't believe the news. You can't, either side. I don't care if it's Fox, CNN, MSNBC, whatever. And it's hard to believe people, too, when they talk about the news, because where did they get it? So I've got a podcast coming up on that. But 75% of Americans say you can't trust the news. It's biased. 63% say, I don't care what my party says, I'm going to associate with them. I don't care what they say. So see, that's where this hysteria comes in. When 63% of the country, they don't think for themselves, and they say, okay, what do they say? All right, that's what I believe. Are you out of your mind? I remember my parents, in full disclosure here, they lifelong Democrats. And no matter what it was, they did it and they justified it, which was against a lot of the teachings, because the Democratic Party of the 60s would be Republicans now and vice versa. So they change. Party affiliation has no place. What do you believe? If you don't know what you believe, you have no business doing anything until you discover that. And don't base that on what other people say. I'm getting into the other podcast now. But anyway, when you have to find out what someone else says to decide what you believe, that opens everything to hysteria. That's why we have a woke movement. That's why we have cancel culture, social media. All these things are driving this, and it's based on emotion, not facts. Let's just look at Hollywood for a minute. Let's look at the celebrities who preached at us and then paid for it. Oh, Ellen. When we moved out to San Diego, Steph loved Ellen, and I thought she was funny. Until her identity became her sexual preference. That killed her comedy. It killed her sitcom. Got her a show out of inclusivity, and then she was the queen of kindness. Remember her? Queen of kindness. Ended everything with be kind to one another. Yeah, backstage, that was not the story. And goodness, she got canceled by her own staff because of her toxicity. Now she can't even show her face. Yeah. Hypocrisy. Ouch. She was a canceler. She was woke and got canceled. Remember Jesse Smollett? What does Chappelle call him? Juicy Smollett or whatever. Anyway, hate crime's big thing. Hate crime is driven by a woke culture. Now, I believe a crime is a crime, and people deserve to be defended from crime. However, he used the hate crime to blow up a situation that he made up. And when he made that up about being attacked by white supremacists in MAGA hats and put a noose around his neck, the crazy thing of that is he wrote him a check and they had the canceled check of, don't write it too. Go to ATM, get some cash. But anyway, when that first happened, everybody, all the celebrities defended him. They defended him. All the news stations on one side defended him. All the others were like, wait a minute. And then the truth came out. And they looked silly. They looked stupid because it was based on hysteria. Oh, let's get excited. The facts didn't matter. The facts did not matter because it fit an agenda. Alyssa Milano, sweet little Alyssa, back from Who's the Boss. Remember her? We raised her. Well, all her parts dried up. You know why? She went from an actress to an activist. When she couldn't get a movie because she was so hard to deal with. I was told to clean my language up a little bit. She was so hard to deal with. Oh, now let me jump on that Me Too thing. Yes, 30 years ago this happened. She attacked everybody. And now she's being mocked because the thing she's pointing at other people about, oh, but see, we've got the truth now. You said this, but you did this. It's rough. It bothered me when Kevin Hart, he was going to host the Oscars. I think he would have done great. It'd have been hilarious. However, they canceled him because something he said, or no, it was a tweet from 10 years before. Even after he apologized. When they can look into your past like that, oh goodness, I wouldn't want to. Can you imagine being judged and canceled on one of your weakest moments from way back when? Oh, I don't want that. And then what gets me, man, it drives me crazy, honestly. I don't think about it, but when I do, the Dixie Chicks, remember that? And they criticized America on foreign soil. And then when America had a problem with that, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll take the Dixie out. That makes us look like we care more. Please. Then their career went down the tubes. They still tour, but oh, have you seen them? Please. Sounds like chickens laying eggs. Or Lady A. Lady A. What does A stand for? Antebellum. Oh, but we changed it to Lady A. What? It still stands for antebellum. And antebellum is a time period. You didn't know that when you named yourself Lady Antebellum? And I wonder about those two guys in the band that call themselves Lady Antebellum. Now those two guys are Lady A. What about Dude A? I don't know. But see, it's all for show. It's all to pacify. It's to get, you play that game, you're going to get burned. You're going to get burned. Musicians get political too. And when you get political, and that's why I don't do this a lot, but I'm saying either side. When you get political, and I'm not saying don't stand for your values, but when you do it for show or for posturing or for power, it always backfires. Eventually. Taylor Swift got caught up in that. Kanye got caught up in that. Sam Smith. Have you heard from Sam Smith lately? No. You know why? He got into his gender fluidity, and that was like, what? You got a great voice, dude. Why do you have to make us think about that when you see Madonna? A lot of people do this for shock value to get talked about. Madonna's reinvented herself 25 times to the point to where I didn't recognize her last time I saw her, but she called for violence against the White House. Yeah. But then she preaches tolerance. Wait a minute. This is the problem when we use these people for advice. Please. I don't think Taylor or Kanye or Madonna, I don't think they have ever dealt with some of the challenges we have on a day-to-day basis. Then other groups, Imagine Dragons and Rage Against the Machine. Rage Against the Machine, I love Rage Against the Machine. Politically, I can't listen to him. Shut up and sing. In between songs, Dave Morello's running his mouth now. He's all for Hamas. Come on, man. Don't make me think of that when I listen to your music. It ruins a lot of movies for me, and I'm sorry, I can't separate it sometimes. When you've got a professional pretender, like an actor coming out, and all of a sudden they want us to take them seriously, you can tell that someone writes their words for them, because when they speak extemporaneously, 7-syllable word, they sound like a fool. Yeah, so the thing is, we put Hollywood or musicians or celebrities on a pedestal. Just let us enjoy the craft, because when you lecture your fans more than you entertain them, you stop being an artist and start being a brand that people are gonna, a certain number of people will unsubscribe from. Now, I still like music of people I don't agree with. Oh, yeah, but they make it harder and harder. And they do it for attention. And I see it a lot. When you see people come on and do some of these drastic things, that means something else is not working. And they need attention. They need attention. And usually it's for power or money. I'm preaching to the choir here. I know that. But the thing is, good news, I'm telling you, the movement, the radical side of the movement, it eats itself. Even recently, let's look at Stephen Colbert. This is in the news right now. That long-time late show is canceled. Literally canceled, off the air. This is the last season. Because you know why? He got preachy instead of funny. And that's the thing with comedians. I'm going to get into that a lot. They wanted agreement and applause instead of laughs. Well, didn't work. And they're so tone deaf, and you deal with yes men to the point to where you don't have the voice of reason. J.K. Rowling wrote all the Harry Potter books. She defended basically biology, a man and a woman. Of course, they couldn't cancel her. They tried. Please. I don't think Harry Potter is falling. I don't think J.K. is having to wonder where her next meal's coming from. And then you got the other side, Sarah Silverman, who is I guess a comedian. I don't know. She got all woke and cancel culture and political, and now she realized, okay, I'm losing. Nobody's laughing anymore, and I'm supposed to be funny. She apologized constantly. She apologized so much, it reminded people of what she was apologizing for and brought it all up again. It's best just to, I don't know what I was thinking, and be funny again. We forgive. Nope, she's still got dropped. She's having a tough time getting booked anywhere. And then Joe Rogan, who I've followed Joe Rogan since, goodness, what was the show he was on? News Radio. I remember him on that. And then Fear Factor, of course. But he's the biggest podcaster in the world. Got, goodness, 2,000 or 3,000. He's been doing it for 20-something years, long before he got known for it. But he's having real conversations. And like him or not, he's a little too conspiracy theorist for me. However, he's not a Republican. He was a Democrat. He's really a libertarian. But they had him. He was thinking more on their side until he saw the hypocrisy. When he called out the hypocrisy, that's when they try to cancel him, because this is one way I know the cancel culture and the woke movement is dying or dead. Because he stood up to it. They tried to cancel him, and it made him bigger. And now people are getting notoriety for pushing back. And that comedy is probably the best example of that. Comedy became about agreement or applause or shaking your head in agreement rather than laughs. Jokes became sermons. You had to walk that line. There were people that weren't allowed to perform or had their act edited or censored to the point to where they didn't have an act left. There's a term in comedy during the woke movement. It was called clapter. It was applause for saying the right thing, not being funny. That's not comedy. That's social commentary. And not political commentary necessarily, social commentary. Laughter was dangerous because, ooh, did you laugh at that? I noticed you laughing at that. Oh, you didn't laugh at that? Huh. Why didn't you laugh at that? What? That's not a fun night out. But it's back, baby. And this is one of the best signals. Cancel culture's gone. The woke movement's gone. Please. The cancelers are being canceled. Dave Chappelle is great. He ridicules everybody. I don't agree with him on everything. I don't listen to him to agree. I listen to him to laugh. When he contradicts something I believe in a funny way, I laugh. It's hilarious. And he survived the trans movement. He's made more money off his trans jokes just because the trans movement got so upset. And I'm telling you, he is not conservative. But to me, he's a comedic genius. Ricky Gervais, I don't think we would agree on many things. I think he would find me very boring and backward. I don't know that we would ever have a beer together. However, he doesn't care what people think. And he has got such notoriety for just destroying these holier-than-thou, Hollywood, hypocritical, power-broking, woke cancel culture types. And in his last monologue on the Golden Globes, if I'm ever in a bad mood or feeling a little bit down, I'll put some bacon in the pan, fry it up, and watch that monologue. That brightens my day because he mocks sacred cows. It's fantastic and gets standing ovations for it. And that's what I love about good comedians who will show up and hit. Oh, Bill Burr is one of the best. He will hit every side of an argument to where if you start laughing or clapping or something, he'll go, hey, calm down now. I'm about to hit you too. And he gets everybody. A new example, Shane Gillis. He got fired. He got canceled from SNL. He did, as a writer. Now, he got popular again, and they thought this is more evidence that cancel culture is dead and woke is dying, or vice versa, or both. They asked him back. He's hosted 2 times in the last year 2 of their biggest shows. He just hosted the ESPYs. Whether you think he's funny or not, and some people don't, some of his humor is a little different, but he's real. He's genuine. The fact that he is back is a great indicator of what's happening. Bill Burr just says what he thinks. He's just angry. He's just angry. Can't be any more book. So being offensive doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you're pretty much on target for something. So the self-destruction of radical thought is a thing. Movements with no brakes eventually are going to crash into something. And that's what happened with woke and cancel culture. They're out of control. They don't make sense. And no one's saying, wait a minute, let's think about that. They say words are violence. No, you're saying that, but you're rioting and protesting the words that somebody said. Rioting is violence, not peaceful protest. All women should be believed in the Me Too movement. All women should be believed. Oh, wait, unless it's politically inconvenient. There were a lot of people who made accusations about former presidents. They're trailer trash. Oh, unless it's Trump, and oh no, we need to believe them. Oh, but if it's celebrity, oh yeah. Why didn't you come out at that point? The 15th time you went to his hotel room, come on. Sometimes it's convenient. Biology is hate speech. Men should be in women's sports. Yeah. They still, during all of that, you still had women's vitamins. You had things that were specific for women. There were no protesting that. All women's health care, they didn't change all of that because that wasn't convenient. There's so many examples. Look, woke being canceled and cancel culture waking up, it's a good thing. It's a great thing. And I got a few reasons. First of all, it makes room for the truth again. Woke culture demanded allegiance based on feelings, not facts. Yeah. Now that spell is being broken. Truth is being welcomed back to the table. Listen to the truth. And part of this is where you get your news, where you get your information. Dig in yourself. That's the thing about AI. Now, you can program your AI to report the facts without influence. That's why certain groups are scared to death of AI, not because it's taking over, because it tells the truth. You know, after years of saying biological men had no advantage in women's sports, who can say that? Now states are reinstating protections for women and girls. Girls more than women. Both are necessary, but girls. Such a confusing time. But listen to the truth, not opinion or feelings, and now it's coming around. Kudos to Riley Gaines for some of what she's doing. Even when Simone Biles was knocking Riley Gaines, she came around to the fact that, yeah, okay. She even said before, look, if men could be in my sport, I would have no gold medals. Everybody was mad about what McEnroe said about Serena Williams. She couldn't beat the number 700. She would be ranked 700 in men's tennis. Everybody was upset except Serena. She said it. No, if I played at the time Andy Roddick, I'd lose 6-0, 6-0. They play a different game. That's not convenient, but it is the truth. Yeah. The mostly peaceful riots that burn cities down. Yeah. If you listen to the news, they wouldn't show that. They would show the peaceful side until the data in video footage made it just undeniable. Their narrative collapsed. And public trust into people that are so one-sided, that's gone too. Again, I don't believe either side. I have to check it out for myself and use some good old common sense. But the reason it's good, it's freed up room for the truth, is when the truth is allowed back in the room, the real solutions can begin. You can't solve what you won't admit. So that's it. It allows truth back into the conversation. Another reason it's good, it restores expression, free expression, whether it's comedy or art or whatever. Under the woke rules, man, you offending someone was worse than being wrong. You can be wrong, just don't offend anybody. And how do you not offend? But comedy's supposed to poke and provoke and push the boundaries. The shock value. Yeah, some go too far. According to who? Yeah, sometimes it's too much for me. You know what I do? I don't listen. I'll go to somebody else. Yeah. Yeah, Dave Chappelle refused to apologize. His audience grew. Stand-up comedy clubs are thriving again because they're safe again. They're safe. They're safe. Really, actually, they're a safe place to be free. They don't play it safe. They'll say anything. If you don't like it, don't go. If a comedian, if his humor is not to your liking or you're offended, okay, don't go. They'll still sell out because there are people who like that freedom of expression. Books, I remember books being banned. I remember growing up, you hear about, there was a time when they burned books. They fuss about books being banned, but the books they don't ban is controversial. Yeah, they'll ban a book because it talks about religion, but yet they'll let a book in our schools that promotes debauchery. Yeah. Don't ban them, but let's be truthful around what is appropriate for certain ages. That's why my Weak Parents Raise Weak Parents, that podcast is blowing up, and people agree kids need discipline. And here's the generation that's not instilling it because you got to be safe. You might get reported. HR is the most woke, corrupt, cancel culture with real life implications that needs to be revised because the victim has ultimate rule. Whatever they say is truth, and it's got to be politically correct. So that's why that is going to calm down quite a bit too. So why is it good that Freedom of expression is restored, because a culture that can't laugh at itself, that becomes dangerous. Creativity needs freedom. It needs to work itself out. It needs to blossom. And then it can call itself back a little bit, but it needs to be controlled by the creator, not fear of somebody else. So another reason it's good, it ends the rule of forced consensus. And by that I mean, for years, people would nod along to things they didn't believe because somebody was watching and they were supposed to believe it. That's ending. That's ending. For example, teachers, professors, corporate employees, they're beginning to speak up. They're pushing back. Questions, policies, they don't make sense anymore. Like mandatory pronoun rituals. I don't know what to call people. I remember it was man, woman, miss, mister, he, she. I don't know. And if I'm offending you, I'm not doing it on purpose. The rules are changing as I'm speaking. And to make that mandatory, that's a little tough. Polls show a majority of Americans, left and in the center, believe cancel culture has gone too far and stifles honest conversation. Of course. Are we shocked at that? Thankfully, a majority of Americans feel that way now. That's good, because when people are free to disagree, democracy works. Yeah. When they aren't, it breaks. It turns into something else, or a hybrid of it. Another reason it's good is it puts accountability over identity. Woke culture, it focused on who said something more than what they said. It replaced responsibility with collective guilt or victim points. Now we're returning to some accountability. Jesse Smollett, he wasn't protected by his identity. He was a black man who was a victim of a hate crime. Or was he? He went to court and the truth came out. So it was, who said this? Okay, what did they say? Diversity hires without competence, those are getting called out. DEI, it's getting called out because they have data now. You know, you did this and your balance sheet went to crap. You did this and the board is saying, what happened to production? Real inclusion means equal standards, not lower standards. And then the defund the police movement, Twitter blew that up. And this whole neighborhood started getting overrun with crime. Real people are suffering. Real people that aren't on Twitter, so their voices weren't heard. Now, cities are rebuilding their departments. They're refunding their departments. The problem is it's hard to find people who want that job now because it's so disrespected in certain areas. And their efforts to make that, to redo the reputation or rebuild it. This accountability over identity, it's good because fairness requires that everyone be held to the similar standard, same standard. And it's not excused or condemned based on race or gender or group status. Fair is fair. And I'm not saying fairness in a petty way. I'm talking about common sense fairness. And then the last thing, as far as why it's good, it frees people just to be human again. Woke demanded perfection and specifics. Yesterday's tweet, a tweet from 20 years ago, a picture from 30 years ago, something you said in jest or out of context. Today's joke is tomorrow's mistake. That's not justice. Come on. That's emotional blackmail. You know, the whole Kevin Hart thing with the Oscars, that was long ago. I've said some stupid things years ago. I say stupid things now. You can hold me accountable to today. But also just everyday people, parents, teachers, cops, nurses, they're vilified for being normal. Views are nuanced. It's not black and white always. So now we're reclaiming our voice. And it's good because humans are flawed. We got all kinds of flavors. A culture that allows some room for error and growth and different races and different humors, and some people are stronger, some people are weaker. That is okay. That is okay. That's normal. And canceling the woke movement is bringing that back. So why does this matter? Why am I talking about this? Dave, why are you talking about this? When woke dies, the truth comes out. When cancel culture fades away, conversation can happen again because I don't have to wordsmith or think about it. When fear is losing its grip, I got some freedom back. Now I can talk without thinking every word through. And this correction is not cruel at all. It's necessary. And it's happened over and over in the past. I outlined 5 or 6 times we had that correction that was necessary. And you don't want the pendulum to swing too far one way, because it comes back, it goes too far the other way. But let's just bring it a little closer to some common sense, because balance is where progress is going to happen. Freedom of thought, that shouldn't be optional. It should be obvious. And laughter and logic and liberty, we all should have that. It belongs to everybody. It shouldn't be approved. Shouldn't be approved. So woke is canceled because it stopped helping and started hurting. When it started hurting the group that came up with it, so that's the problem. So the cure actually became the disease, and thank God we're waking up. So how do we stay grounded? Because it's going to come again. The next movement, the next craziness, the next hysteria, the next drama, it's coming. So how do we stay grounded in a trend-driven society? First thing, you have to anchor yourself in reality. Facts over feelings. Principles over popularity. I go back to mom and dad and Papo and people I respected in the past. Although it was a long time ago, those principles are sound today. And we have to pass those on. But also, we have to deal with facts, not emotions or feelings. That's the first thing. And then question it. Especially when it's your group. The mob that's happening in LA or New York or Chicago. All right, that's a little bit. But what about your group, the people you're around, your workplace? Question things. Not in a disruptive way, but as in a fact-finding way. Truth is not a tribal thing. It's not mob rule. The truth isn't. Emotion is. So question the mob. Also, use humor as a weapon and a shield. If you can laugh, okay, you're still thinking. You're still thinking on your feet. You're still thinking for yourself. If something bad happens, I can find humor in anything. But that's good. You can use it as a weapon, meaning to keep people on their toes. That little sarcastic remark or whatever, to let them know you're not falling for it. Humor is a non-invasive way, but also as a shield to where, that's not going to get through. Humor, I love to use humor in that way. Refuse forced apologies. Never bow down to somebody that's going to make you apologize for something you don't think you did wrong. If they won't accept that and give forgiveness when you are wrong, you shouldn't give it when you're not wrong. So you've got your facts now. Question the mob. Use humor. That's the best way. Some people struggle with this more than others. But also, don't apologize for something you don't think you're wrong about. And then finally, build these long-term convictions. Know what you believe. Know your principles. Don't change it. I have 10 fundamental beliefs that have never changed. I have a lot more than that, but I outlined the 10. They're not temporary narratives. It's what I believe. It's my convictions. People remember truth tellers, not trend chasers. Yeah, so that's how to stay grounded. And the thing is, every empire that's built on emotion eventually eats itself. It crumbles. But the truth will outlast them all. And we can see it. History, I heard a quote the other day, history doesn't repeat itself because nothing is exactly the same, but it copies itself. So there are similar things. The cancelers, they're going to get canceled. They will, because it's based on power, emotion, and feelings. The woke are waking up because they're exhausted. Being woke is exhausting because you have to constantly be thinking of, why is this ridiculous thing necessary? In reality, it doesn't need permission. It just needs some time. The truth will happen if you're seeking the truth and facts, not emotion. They weaponized offense. They demanded obedience. Now they're shocked that no one's listening. That's not injustice. That's karma. So, pure motives based on the facts and not emotion. And just be a good person. Don't cancel. And don't allow yourself to be canceled. This is good news, folks. Woke got canceled by the cancel culture, and now we can cancel it. I love it. Tell me what you think. Hit me at david@otalks.com or david@otalks.com. I love hearing from you. I love both sides. I'm starting to see a lot of comments on some of the social media. I post every morning. I don't get on it till the next morning. However, I love the feedback. Either way, tell me what you want me to talk about. I'll jump in. Hit otalks.com, see what's going on with Dave. And Dave talks in the third person sometimes. But I appreciate your support. But most of all, I appreciate you O-talking with Dave. Giddy up.